Today on the table I have the Taurus Spectrum and the Taurus TCP. There's virtually no price split. Specs. The Spectrum is longer. The Spectrum's fatter. The Spectrum's heavier. The Spectrum comes with two different magazines without a magazine in them. The Spectrum's a touch taller, because the Spectrum comes with a flush mount and a pinky extend magazine. Now, one of the biggest improvements of the Spectrum, well, there's actually two huge improvements that I really like. One, they eliminated the Taurus lockdown key. This was an answer to a problem that did not exist. They should have never put these on the Firearms. They were nothing but problems. The next big improvement with the Spectrum is how it's taken apart. It's the exact same as the Beretta Pico, and I love this system because it retains all the parts. But basically, you'll eject the magazine, then you turn the spot right here, and you dry fire it. Put it back on, that's all there is to it. Now, like the Taurus TCP, lock your slide to your rear, and then you got this little pin right here, and you got to get something underneath it. If you're good, you can get your fingernail under there. Not the easiest to do. And then it comes off like that. But you got this extra piece right here just floating around. I would just rather have it retained if at all possible. The Spectrum is easier to take apart, but not by much. I mean, they're both pretty simple. Reassembly. And if my barrel would have went forward. Definitely feeling like the Spectrum's easier. Anyways, you get your barrel forward, make sure your pinhole's lined up. You may have to put your finger on the side of the barrel to hold it. And then you put in your retaining pin. First time I did that off camera, it was a lot easier and a lot smoother. Now the actual shapes, the Spectrum does have some 90-degree edges on it. Maybe this could get irritating if you're going to pocket carry this. Where the Spectrum, it's all smooth edge. The only 90 I'm really seeing is right here, and then on your back sights. Both sights on these suck because they're shaved down to make this more concealable. Not more concealable, to make it more comfortable to carry. The Spectrum is slightly taller though. That's what your sights will look like. Insertion of the magazines, they suck on both of these. If your slide was locked to the rear, the magazine comes out just fine, but then going back in, it gets hung up. Right there, which gives you just enough force to build momentum so your pinky gets pinched right between these two pieces of plastic. The Spectrum's even worse. This gets hung up a lot harder. Takes a lot more force. This would probably make you bleed. If you're going to change magazines, you're almost better off just holding it like this and then hitting it from the bottom. You do not want to get pinched in there because it's going to come in with serious force. Slide release, not really usable on either of them. Trigger brake. Spectrum, there's a lot of take up. There's really no defined wall, and I am getting a little bit of vibration in the front sight when the trigger breaks. This is second strike capable. Here's your reset. Reset's very long. This is where it is. It's basically all the way forward. This is the only difference. Taurus TCP. Much lighter trigger. Breaks very clean. If there is movement in the front sight, I can't see it. This is not second strike capable. And here's your reset. Very short. You'd be able to make very quick follow-up shots with the Taurus TCP. Now, a lot of customers that I've taken out shooting when they're deciding if they want to buy it or not, this trigger's so light it catches them by surprise and they don't like it. So you may prefer this trigger over the Taurus TCP, even though the Taurus TCP breaks cleaner than the Spectrum. One more break. Now this time I don't have a death grip on it. I'm holding it like I was going to make a long, accurate shot. Nice, relaxed. And I'm seeing a lot more jump in the front sight. Holding the TCP the same way. Nice, relaxed grip. And that's the difference between them. When you purchase the firearms, the Taurus Spectrum, like I said, you get two different magazines. You get your flush mount. That's what that's going to look like. And then you get your pinky extended magazine. That's what that's going to look like. Gives you a full grip. Very nice. I love the option of being able to have a full grip on my smaller firearms. With your Taurus TCP, same magazines. Capacity on these firearms are also the same, 6+1. Now your Taurus TCP, you do get the keys to lock this firearm down. Taurus Spectrum, obviously you don't, but they do give you a gun lock. Now what would I pick? The Spectrum or the TCP? Oh, and there's one other difference too, I forgot. The TCP, when you pull the trigger, it actually pulls back a hammer and fires kind of like a revolver. The Spectrum is more like a Glock. It's a striker fire, kind of like a pinball machine. Now what would I pick? The Taurus TCP or the Taurus Spectrum? Yes, I do prefer the Taurus TCP trigger a lot better. I can make more precise shots with this. Because chances are, if this is a defensive handgun and there's a family member involved, they're going to be in some sort of fight, and you're going to want to make your shot count. You're going to want it to be precise. But the Taurus Spectrum, they eliminated the lockdown key, much better takedown system, and they include a pinky mount magazine so you could get your full grip. So this would actually be my pick, the Taurus Spectrum over the Taurus TCP. But thank you for watching. Leave in the comments below which one you would pick and why. Don't forget to subscribe.